Hello everybody, E here. Today we are talking about Stephen King's best short stories. I'm going to do a top 10. I wasn't going to do them in order, but I decided after reading over my list, I am going to do them in order because it's very clear what I want to put where. You are going, right off the bat, you're going to notice that I have his collections around me. Everything's eventual is still on the shelf. That is not a mistake. I did that on purpose. I don't like anything. I don't think I care too much for anything in that book, so it's just going to stay right where it is. Right off the bat, number 10, Harvey's Dream. A very underrated collection of stories, which is Just After Sunset. I think Harvey's Dream does a terrific job of mounting dread and suspense, and that ending, it's one of those endings that is perfect for a short story. You're not going to get away with that kind of ending, even in a novella, but it is great for a short story. Next up, we have the very first time we ever see Pennywise the Clown, maybe not as Pennywise the Clown, but the entity that is it, is in Gray Matter, okay? Mr. Gray, or the dudes from Dreamcatcher, or the dudes from Tommyknockers. Next up, we have In the Tall Grass with Joe Hill. It hasn't been collected anywhere yet. That one has probably one of the more disturbing scenes I've ever read. It's the cannibal scene. If you guys have read the story, you'll know what I'm talking about. That one bothered me quite a bit. Next up, I have The Mangler from Nightshift. I'm also a big fan of the movie with, well, Robert Englund isn't in it much, but I think he plays the owner of the laundromat, or the whatever it is that the Mangler's in. I love the short story, but I'm also a fan of that cheesy movie that they did. Next up, A Very Tight Place, again from Just After Sunset. I love stories about people getting trapped, and this is a tie for me, really, with Survivor Type from Skeleton Crew. Survivor Type and In a Very Tight Place have some of the same. I mean, they're both about people who are trapped. But I think at the end, I like the motherfucker the best. Which this video just got demonetized. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about if you've read the story. Next up, we have Sometimes They Come Back from Nightshift. Now, almost all the rest of these are going to be from Nightshift. Sometimes They Come Back. I also like the TV movie. Or was it? It might have been a movie. I'm not sure if it was at the theater or not. Let me know if I'm wrong down there in the doobly-doo. Next up, we have Quitters, Inc. Again, from Night Shift. Having been a smoker and having quit smoking and having gone through all of the problems that I did, I like that story more the older I get. And of course, the anthology film Cat's Eye was great too. Jumping in the next one, we have my only favorite vampire short story. I didn't even care too much for Popsy, but The Night Flyer, and I just realized there's two vampire stories in Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I don't think that ever crossed my mind. But The Night Flyer. The movie's also great, too. I'm finding that a lot of these transferred really well over to film. A lot of these short stories that I'm mentioning. Battleground, it would be number 2. Battleground was okay in, what was it? Was it Creepshow? I think it was Creepshow. Battleground, they did that version of it. But I really love the imagination. That's the imagination that I love from Stephen King. Same thing with Joe Hill. Taking something so innocent as a bunch of toys and turning them into something evil and devious. Last, but definitely not least, my favorite Stephen King story of all time is The Jaunt from Skeleton Crew. That one, the questions and the lack of answers and everything that it brings up, and the way he describes the person when they come back from the jaunt, terrifying. Everything about that story, it hits on all cylinders for me, and it is my number 1 choice for best Stephen King story. So what are some of yours? Maybe give me your top 5, your top 10, label them all for me down there in the doobly-doo. Let me know. Let's start a conversation about Stephen King's short work. Until next time, I have been E, you've been you. There's been another Stephen King list. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.